What's up guys, MurderInc here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today I want to talk about how to counter Rotos the Lost Groom. But before I show you how to counter him, let me show you how you can build a Rotos to increase your chances of not getting countered. So a big draw to this video is going to be 1. People who want to know what the counters to Rotos are, and 2. Rotos users who want to know how can I prevent this from happening. So this is kind of like a bittersweet way to explain things, but let me just get right into it. First thing I would suggest, I have rebuilt my Rotos for Arena. Don't be too shy to build Rotos with health. One thing you're going to notice throughout the video is the amount of health he has is going to determine whether or not he gets countered in some situations, not in all situations. Savage 4-piece, a Cruel 2-piece, 36,000 health, 4,400 attack, 2,200 defense, very slow, 100% crit, 276 crit damage, a little bit of resistance, a little bit of accuracy. Now this is what I recommend if you want to increase your success chance to not get countered. The biggest point behind this build is in fact the health, on top of the savage gear, pretty much guaranteeing if you go one-on-one with another Rotos, you're going to come out on top. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over all of the champions, and I don't have all of them built unfortunately, so after I go over all the champions that can really prove to be a problem for Rotos, I'm going to go into the arena, show you some comps that I use, and we'll just work on it from there. So to start, I have Whirlim Frost King. I did a champion spotlight video on him. If you want to know more about him, definitely check that video out. Now let's talk about what makes him so good against Rotos. Ice Grave Armor. The strengthen buff is extremely powerful, and even more so against a champion like Rotos the Lost Groom. So on top of putting an increased defense buff on all champions, which already lowers the amount of damage Rotos can do to you, he puts a 25% strengthen buff. Now, strengthen is interesting because as opposed to ignore defense, it does not affect your defense multiplier at all. Instead, it's a flat damage reduction. So when we look at someone like Rotos, going back to him, his A3 will ignore 75% of the target's defense, and with savage gear that I have, it's 100%. So now he's using a damage reduction where his A3 does not affect. So if you're running around and you're using your A3 on champions, hitting them for 100,000, 120,000, this is going to reduce the effectiveness of that by more than you could imagine. I've already tested this. I'm really excited to show you guys. On top of that, we do also have decreasing crit damage, which isn't huge, but still it is a damage reduction to Rotos. So this is all good stuff. So the next champion I want to talk about is an Ithri Blood Twin. I know I'm on legendaries now, but don't worry, I am getting to the epics, just to let you know. And Ithri is going to start with the basic point that's going to come back throughout this video. And the main thing is his A2 attacks the enemy 3 times. And as you can see, damage increases equal to the percentage of HP the target has lost. This is very strong against the Rotos due to how his A2 increases his health by a ton. And so now we have an ever-scaling A2 from an Ithwi. That's also a block revive, where we commonly see Rotos surrounded by revive champions to make sure he can keep up and going. Alright guys, this next champion is probably the best counter to Rotos the Lost Groom. He has a revive himself, which is strong because usually Rotos isn't the only damage dealer on the team. And if he wants to prevent Brachus from reviving, he has to use his A3 on Brachus. So that puts him in a rough situation, especially if you are running a turn meter booster, reviver, or someone else that could be a giant threat to the rest of their team. So as you can see here, I put Brachus in a Relentless set. I know I mentioned in the last video that I don't think Rotos needed a Relentless set due to his kit. I think Brachus is the perfect champion for a Relentless set. So going over really quickly what he does, his A1 attacks 1 times, heals his champion by 15% of the damage inflicted. His A2 attacks an enemy 6 times. First hit has a chance of placing a 25% weaken, heals his champion by 25% of the damage inflicted, heals his champion by 50% if the target's under a fear or true fear debuff. Now his A3, really strong, this is the one I use most of the time, places an increased attack on all allies, then attacks one enemy 3 times, Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a true fear debuff for 1 turn, has a 50% chance of placing a fear debuff on 2 random enemies for 1 turn if the true fear debuff lands. Now to round this kit off, he has a passive that increases his damage when his HP drops below 40% and revives this champion with 20% health when killed, immediately granting him an extra turn. And now you can kind of see where, yes, it's RNG, but Relentless can be very strong with Brackus. It either procs off the start, and he has a 6 hit and a 3 hit that he can work with right off the bat, or he can get killed, he can revive, use his A3 for the true fear and the fear on 2 random allies, then he gets a second turn and can use a 6 hit on any champion he chooses. So now, I'm sure a lot of people know already that multi-hit champions are a fantastic counter to Rotos. However, there are lots of things that can prevent that from being the deciding factor in killing him. Now, I did something pretty unique with Brackus. I decided to put him with the Giant Slayer talent. Has a 30% chance of inflicting bonus damage when attacking. Bonus damage is equal to 7.5% of the target champion's max HP or 3% of the target's max HP when attacking a boss. I was using Brackus for Clan Boss, and before changing this, I said, you know what, let me give this a shot. This actually proved to help me out a ton in pushing me over the top for damage done to the target. 6 hits from a champion is a ton of hits. And if you get lucky in practice 3 times, 4 times, even 2 times, you're doing really good. So all of this extra damage really helps in the long run. So now that we went over the basics on what counters Rotos as far as a multi-hitter, let me just start going through other champions who shine. We have the new and improved Fale. He has a 4-hit A1, 4-hit A2, and attack all enemy, decrease turn meter, block revive A3, making him very strong. Another commonly used champion to counter Rotos at the moment is Gala with their triple hit A3. Light Sworn, he has a 3-hit A1 that also decreases the turn meter. I tried to find as many champions as I could that had a greater benefit than just multiple hitting the target, because I feel like that's what people really want to know about, because there are tons of champions who hit for 3 times, 4 times, or really hard twice. The final champion that I want to talk about is Gala Longbraids. If you're a long time watcher of my content from my streams, you know I tested Gala as soon as she came out, and we all saw what a monster she is. For those of you who don't know, she attacks 3 times, gives her an extra turn. Her A2 is a single hit. It's just a monstrous damage dealer. The A1 hits twice, ignores defense. A3 ignores defense. The A2, I mean, all of her skills ignore defense. She's just a fantastic champion. And she gets increased value because she gets an extra turn off of her 3-hit, which is plenty to kill any champion in the game. So these are all champions, whether you have them, you don't have them, that you should absolutely look for if you're going to go the multi-hitting route to counter Rotos the Lost Groom. Now, aside from multi-hitting, what else can we do to counter Rotos? Gengar is another champion I released a champion spotlight for, and his kit I found works great against Rotos the Lost Groom. His A2 provokes all targets, puts a reflect damage and a counterattack on this champion. So why is this good? What's the benefit to him over other provoke champions? So you have to keep in mind that we are talking about a champion like Rotos who people are running Relentless gear on, and when he counterattacks it is with an A1. So he does have the opportunity to proc an extra turn. When you're attacking and placing a provoke for 1 turn, like Gengar provides, that can be pretty hit or miss. What do we have going for us? We have the fact that Gengar places a counterattack buff on himself, as well as a reflect damage on the whole team. So you provoke all the targets, it's Rotos' turn. He has a 1-turn provoke on him, Gengar has reflect damage and counterattack. Rotos then hits Gengar with his A1. Gengar will return, place 3 hits on Rotos. He isn't a huge damage dealer, but his damage does add up. So this is a champion that you can put Giant Slayer on, because he's always going to be counterattacking with provoke on it. Now let's get to the main point and why this is so good. His passive, if an enemy with a provoke debuff attacks, has a 40 up to a 50% chance of reapplying that provoke debuff for an additional turn. On top of that, each hit taken will reduce damage taken by 5% up to 30% in 1 round. So it's not going to increase his defense, it's going to reduce the damage taken. Like we talked about with Whirlim, which is very strong against a champion that ignores defense. So now you can kind of catch my drift. Even though it's not a 100% chance, Rotos is scary for his extra turns on counterattack champions or when he is counterattacking, because he can just pop off at any moment. This does a good job at taming him, or has a chance to tame him. Every time he counterattacks, he takes damage from Reflect, he gets hit 3 times by Gengar, and can have the Provoke debuff reapplied onto him, so he can't just go crazy using his A2 and his A3 on other champions, since he is burning through his cooldown charges right away. So the next champion I want to talk about to counter Rotos the Lost Groom is Lana Kiss the Chosen. There are 2 other champions that really shine and do what Lana Kiss does, but I chose to use her as an example. I am going to show you one other one. I don't have the third one, but we'll start from here. Ally Attack. Very strong. It's kind of the same concept as a multi-hit. However, now you only need champions that hit the target 1 time, because this all occurs in the same turn. I personally and my main team use Ally Attack with Rotos and Mountain King. So whoever I pick it on, they're dead. I have yet to see somebody survive from the initial ally attack, just because there's so much damage between Rotos and Mountain King that it's very hard to survive. Now I want to show you an epic champion that as soon as I saw, I said, listen, this guy's gonna start making some moves a long time ago. And here he is, Catacomb Councillor. He is blue affinities. There was no downside to using him against the Rotos. He does hit pretty hard on top of things. He also does attack the enemy target 3 times, so he's another multi-hitting champion, making him a fantastic option to countering Rotos. He's also not commonly seen in the arena, so if someone sees a maxed out Catacomb Councillor and they haven't seen this video, and it's most likely lots of people won't be able to see this video, they're going to think, you're some kind of beginner, why is he using this champion I've never heard of? If you build this guy fast enough, you're going to take them by surprise and completely wipe the map clean with them. The next champion I want to talk about is Souldrinker. What makes his kit so good is his A3. Lord Shazar, War Mother also do the same thing. Bombs do a ton of damage to Rotos the Lost Groom. Now Shazar isn't as ideal due to him being Spirit Affinity, but I did want to talk about Souldrinker today. It's a 4-turn cooldown. It can be reduced to a 3-turn cooldown. It can be a 100% chance to apply a bomb if booked, so that's very strong. His other skills, what they do is they just decrease the amount of time that it takes to detonate the bomb. But I think the highlight of his kit is places 2 bomb debuffs on each enemy that detonates after 2 turns when this champion dies. So really quickly to talk about bombs, if you don't know, they scale off of attack. All you have to worry about on a bomb champion is speed, accuracy, attack percent, and crit rate. Crit rate isn't needed, but it does help. Alright, the last champion I want to talk to you today is one of my personal favorite epics in the game, Umbral Enchantress. Now, she pretty much does the same thing as Gengar, but a little bit different, and I'll tell you why it could be a lot better. You can build Gengar extremely tanky, and obviously, like I mentioned, he does have the counterattack and the reflect damage, but Rotos does hit very hard, especially if people gear them in Savage gear. He runs the risk of being killed very easily. Where Umbral Enchantress shines is, like Gengar, she is void, so she has no weak affinity. Her A3 hits extremely hard, places a 100% provoke when booked on all enemies, places an unkillable buff on this champion for 2 turns. So this can lock champions down and place an unkillable buff on Umbral Enchantress. So you don't really have to worry about how much damage is coming out from Rotos. You will be provoked for 2 turns, so even if you procs 1 extra turn, you have a bit of a bad luck protection there. Her A2 places a block buff debuff on all enemies. Also another 100% chance, which is very rare to see 2 skills from an epic having a 100% chance to land based on your accuracy. So with all that being said, let's jump into the arena and give you some examples of teams on how to counter Rotos. I'm going to be doing this in Platinum, so I'm mostly going to be using legendaries. You can take a look at the compositions I'm using and say, I can apply this to gold if I use this champion and this champion. Just basically look at the process I'm going through and see what works for me and apply it to where you are in the game. That's the best way to look at this whole situation. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, we made it to the first battle. Let's see how this one plays out. Start off with Duchess as always. Now we're going to use the ally attack. Now I'm going to use it on Duchess right now, which, now that I'm thinking about it, wasn't the most ideal option for me to do since I have 2 weak affinities against her, but now let's test out Brackus A3 against Rotos. So easy one shot, don't even have to worry about it. Now we have another huge threat to our team, which is Trunda. And I can tell you this, the Mountain King Spotlight Champion video is the next video. So get hyped for that. I know we all love seeing numbers like 149,000 from an A2. Insane champion. Really excited to talk about him. So this match is pretty clean. We'll put that on auto, and I'll see you in the next match. All right, here I'm showcasing a bit of a different team. I'm going against Rotos, Tormin, Arbiter, and Mountain King, and I'm using Whirling Frost King, Ignatius, Tormin, and Duchess. So let's see how this plays out. So he went first and he did 19,000 damage. Let's throw on the Strengthen buff that I was talking about earlier. And unfortunately he got frozen. I really wanted to highlight his damage. So now let's use the A1, try to get some freezes off. And now another skill I want to talk about is HP burn. This is a really strong debuff when dealing with Rotos. It does passive damage every time someone does a turn, which can be really, really bad for Rotos to lost Groom. So we'll go right ahead and use that A3. Watch people start getting burned and watch Torment counterattack. Let's get rid of Arbiter so she cannot revive the team. And we will decrease crit damage. I think we might kill Rotos here. We did. So we didn't really get to see the value of the Strengthen buff. This is just a tanky team overall. But, you know, we'll just put this on auto. This is, I can honestly say this is the first time I've used Tormin since I've used him the first day when he was available. Outside of then, I figured out what he did and then I never used him again. Which is why one really important thing that people should know about fusions, when you have a fusion like Rotos and Tormin and they start overtaking the arena, they can be considered unfair, annoying. But I look at it the opposite way. If everyone's using the same champion, the same 2 champions, it's really, really easy to come up with a counter team to it. All you have to do is build one team and you can count on 99% of the teams using 2 champions. So you just need to run the same 4 champions instead of swapping them in and out over and over again, unless you're in high platinum. All right, let's get into some Rotos versus Rotos arena action here and see how we do. Let's use our ally attack against Madame Ceres because her buff strip is an actual problem. Now we will make sure she does not revive. We'll use the A2 on what's-her-face, Duchess. And let's just take Rotos out for now. He is going to be revived, but we'll worry about that after. We just want to reset his turn meter. That's all we care about for now. We'll worry about the counter attacking when that arrives. So now his turn's coming up again. As you can see, target Duchess, extra turn. She's dead. We have a counter attack from our Rotos. Now they're just going to go back and forth. And now, see, it's good that he procced it at the end there. And somehow he landed defense down. He has no accuracy, so you'll have to see it whenever that does happen. To be safe, we're going to take out Duchess here. Unfortunately, this isn't looking good for my team because Brackus is not very good against a tank like this. Especially one that hits as hard as he does. Well, maybe we'll get lucky. Okay, we did get lucky. Alright, so here we are going against probably the scariest team in Arena. The only other option I've seen that's a bit worse is swapping Arbiter with Krisk. So this team could be a real problem, so I'm glad this showed up on the list. We are facing a Sifi Rotos partner combo, Duchess and Arbiter. So we have 3 revives here, a whole lot of debuff cleansing going on, so let's take this for a spin and see what happens. We are going to use our ally attack against. I'm going to vote for Arbiter since her turn meter is the highest. See if we can do some damage. Okay, she's dead. Now, this is a problem because Duchess is Duchess and Brackus is weak against her. So let's try to throw on a little bit of damage. You almost killed her there. Hopefully we can... Okay, so we did secure the kill there. Let's make sure Arbiter does not revive. We'll go straight after Sifi here. We got a counterattack to go off. Now let's see if we can kill her with Lana Kiss. I did mention how I built her with crit. She reduced the turn meter and almost killed her. Now we have Mr. Triple Turn popping off. Extra turn, extra turn. We'll hit him with the counterattack, possibly. Okay, so we did. We disrupted the order, which is very good. Now he can counterattack here, which he did. Alright, see, for me this is a lot of fun to watch. It's annoying for some people, but I don't know, I just think it's a ton of fun. So now Brackus is going to go. What we don't want is we don't want Sifi to revive Rotos again. So as we saw, Brackus, easy one-shot. Can he? Yes, he finishes off the match. So as I was saying before, hopefully no one discouraged you from going for the fusion. If you do normally spend a little bit of money on this game for Brackus, I know I promoted it when I first saw him, saying this champion is going to be crazy in so many parts of the game, especially down the line. His kit's really unique, and if you have him, I hope you're hyped for having him now. Now he has a place to really shine. I have used him in Clan Boss, so if you want to see a Brackus video on Clan Boss or just an overall spotlight, feel free to comment below. Alright, I don't want to make this video too long. I know it's already getting pretty long, so I do just want to show off the strength and buff one more time if I can, to see if we can really highlight its strengths. So we did get it off. That's great to see. Let's strip a buff from... I guess we'll take it from Duchess. See if we can slowly start causing a problem. So we saw there 12k damage. Usually hits for 40k if he's geared properly. This is a very geared team, so let's just keep whittling them down, seeing what they can do. Another 11,000 hit. There's a 2,000 hit from Torment, just to keep things in perspective. $73,000 from Mountain King. Now, as I'm sure as you saw from my Mountain King, if you gear him right, and I'm assuming this guy did gear him correctly, he can crit someone like Duchess for 130k, 140k. So it's really good to see such a low number. Like, even though it was a one-shot, granted, you have to really realize how good of a champion Rotos is. And by Rotos, I totally meant Mountain King. So let's try to get Provokes up. Dish out some damage. We'll use his A3. Obviously, we couldn't get a burn there. So it is looking like Mountain King is becoming an issue. So let's try to... Okay, we didn't get the weak hit. That was good. Ignatius is an absolute tank of a champion. I can do a gigantic spotlight on Ignatius as well. Very, very strong champion. So he's another person. Do you want to see him? Do you want to see what he can do? I have farmed 12-6 Nightmare in 17 seconds a few months ago. So if that's something you want to see, to my knowledge, it was the fastest run at the time. I want to know if you guys want to see a champion spotlight on him. Let me know down below. Alright guys, as always, thanks a ton for watching. Thank you for the continued support. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so every time I upload a video, you know exactly when it drops. And until next time, peace out.